what's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing the Night of the Lion.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, June 6th, 2025. Aaron, the anniversary of D-Day. So we want to thank the American, British, and Canadian troops who stormed the beaches of Normandy 81 years ago today. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
Awesome. Terry, thanks for that little nugget. I did not realize that. So yes, thank you guys very much. 81 years ago. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And you know, there are a whole group of veterans there today celebrating. They're all in wheelchairs, but I saw a couple of dozen veterans there in Normandy preparing for the celebration. So
absolutely. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Terry. Well, I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and American Print and Supply. And this week we've got DTF-printing.com award winner Spencer Cenrnoff from Limitless Transfers. In fact, two-time winner, Terry. So, you know, I don't know if we have to have that chant, go two-time, like, I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, Spencer is, I've had a couple opportunities to talk to him and get to know him a little bit. And just like, this guy thinks about DTF. He lives DTF. I think he's probably got adhesive powder in his veins at this point. So
well, hopefully not too much.
yeah, that's right. Not too much, but just enough, right? But so we want to pick his brain and ask him, you know, what makes an award-winning DTF printer? What's he learned about the DTF space? You know, what's going on out there? And as we know, right, it's an ever-evolving, ever-changing. Everybody is, you know, I still think back to where you were sharing about the company that was at the trade show that said, you know, world's best whatever. And like, I've never heard of these people before.
Yeah, stopping people. Have you guys heard of these guys? No, I've never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Hey, well, good for you. It's kind of reminds me of Elf when he goes into the coffee shop, the best coffee. And you guys did it. Congratulations. But anyhow, Terry, the other thing that we need to share, and I just, every time I look at this number, I'm like blown away. But today's a very special day for us in general. It is our 600th episode today. Unbelievable.
Whoever would have thought 13 years ago, sitting in the hotel bar, and you said, "Hey, we should these conversations we're having with everybody. This would be a great podcast. Do you want to do one?" And I said, "Yeah." What's a podcast?
Exactly. Well, and it wasn't shocking that we were sitting in the hotel lobby bar, just the fact that we came up with and all good ideas come out of hotel lobby bars, I think. So
exactly right. And that's our logo as well, that my son Chris created, a microphone and a chicken wing, because that's what we were doing when we came up with this word.
That's right. We just had to add the microphone. We had the chicken wing in hand just to add the microphone.
You know, Aaron, I did a little research when we were talking about the 600th episode coming up. So many podcasts don't go beyond 3 episodes. A significant portion, roughly 90%, quit after 20 episodes. A podcast reaching episode number 21 places that podcast in the top 1% of all podcasts that continue to publish. So we're in a rare air here at 600 episodes.
Yeah. So congratulations to all those podcasts that are 21 or more. And we're excited to see, you know, and we've not talked a ton in the back end or anything like that, but, you know, I don't know, 1,200 maybe someday, who knows? We'll see how long we sit here and do this. And we just appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast each and every week. And so good stuff, Terry. But also, let's have folks stay to the end. What do you got cooked up for us here?
Yeah, I'm gonna be cooking up the secret sauce today. We're gonna talk a little bit about graphic placement. So this one is for everybody that decorates apparel. It's not just screen printers, not just DTF. Everybody that puts an image on a garment should stop and listen to this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, Terry. Definitely will have my version of the yellow legal pad out, which is a dry erase marker, and my whiteboard desk that's sitting in front of me
There
here. Can't wait. So, with everything happening, right? We've got two-time DTFprinting.com award winner Spencer Cenrnoff joining us. We've got our 600th episode. You mentioned the anniversary of the D-Day event. We also have other exciting things happening today. We've got a brand new, not brand new to the show, but brand new to the news circuit here. Somebody said, well, why don't you guys have Teresa from ASI on to do the news? And I'm like, because we never asked her. That's on me. And so when we finally reached out and asked her, she was happy to do it. And so we are super excited to have Teresa in the rotation with us here. So Terry, you ready to bring Teresa on?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear the news from ASI.
Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Hegel with ASI Media, and I'm here with some headlines for you today. So first up, we have a story about tariffs, everyone's favorite subject, right? Price hikes loom for promo drinkware and other categories as Trump raises steel and aluminum tariffs. This story is from June 4th, when President Trump raised steel and aluminum tariffs to 50%, except for the UK, which was at 25%. This move will increase importing costs on affected products like drinkware and aluminum-containing pens. Higher costs could push prices up on imported promo products that contain steel and aluminum, potentially lowering demand or shifting preferences towards substitutes like plastic. Canada's steel sector and broader economy faces disruptions while the European Union considers countermeasures against the tariff hike. The disruption in Canada could hurt demand for promo. And our next story is about Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, the convenience store, files a flurry of lawsuits over trademark infringement. Buc-ee's is suing 3 companies for selling merch with beaver designs that closely resemble its trademarked mascot. Owl and Anchor LLC in Arizona was selling stickers, patches, and stencils featuring hatted beavers. Born United LLC in South Carolina was selling apparel, accessories, and other merch online and in stores featuring a beaver in tactical gear holding a gun. And Prometheus Esoterica Inc. in Florida was selling shirts featuring a tattooed beaver in goth attire and one resembling Krampus. The convenience store chain is seeking injunctions, damages, and product recalls as part of a broader effort to defend its growing merchandise business. And last up, I have some sustainability news. Ruckus and Company launches a name tag and lanyard recycling program. Ruckus and Company, a Greenwood, South Carolina-based promotional product supplier, has launched Tagback, a turnkey recycling program for event lanyards and credentials, helping reduce landfill waste and support circular economy goals. So the supplier is going to be providing organizers with Tagback branded boxes where attendees can drop off their lanyards at the end of events. Organizers can ship the full boxes using a prepaid label back to Ruckus for recycling. Take-back programs like Tagback reflect growing adoption of extended producer responsibility in the promo industry, which aligns with broader sustainability trends and legislation. For more news, you can go to asicentral.com/news. And for more sustainability news, you could go to promofortheplanet.com. Back to you guys.
Awesome. That was great. So excited to have Teresa and the ASI team along with us. And that story she shared at the end, I feel like now we have 2 amazing people sharing this sustainability flag in Teresa and Cassie. Because I saw a post from Cassie. They just had their apparel decorators summit. And I don't know if it's the same company, but they had this lanyard recycling program there at the apparel decorators summit. So that's really cool. I'm going to go check that out and read more about it over there at ASI. And I did put links to all of those articles, so you can just click on them right here from our Facebook or YouTube channels. So, for example, there's the lanyards program link over there. So go check that out. And we'll also get links up for those sustainability links that she had shared when we had her on the program with Jay. We got those out there. So we'll make sure those links are available for folks too. But speaking of that, Terry, we want to hear from Jay again, don't we?
We do. Let's hear from Jay Bassell.
This event is happening next week. And if you guys are not signed up already, now's the time to do it. So here we go.
Hello, regulators and listeners of the Two Regular Guys podcast. It's me, Jay Bassell with the Branded Merch Network. Super fired up to share a quick message with you on sustainability. Now, hold on before you tune me out. Sustainability is really important. It's more than just some buzzword, right? It's more than just marketing. Truth be told, this is part of your DNA, or at least it should be, and it should be a buying decision. It should be a signal that people can trust you. So if you are still one of those businesses that is using sustainability as some marketing buzzword, or it's just on your to-do list in a marketing checkbox, or it's well, it should be nice to have that kind of thing, you are going to get left behind. And so that's why we're started on hosting the Why It Matters Live Sustainable Merch Summit, Tuesday, June 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific. And it's virtual, it's free, it's built for industry pros, it's built for people who are busy and want real answers and real impact and aren't interested in the recycled fluff. So this isn't some boring 3-hour lecture, boring is the enemy. This is rapid fire, 2 hours of quick hits, panels, discussion, mini keynotes, videos, case histories, things that are working. And I am so lucky because I get to moderate one of the panels, which is Sustainability Sells. Good for the planet, great for your business. And listen, I've got so many people to thank. I don't know if I can name drop enough people right now, but Julie from EcoSticks, Melissa from Lane 7, Robert from Brand Fuel, Joseph from Whitestone, Ryan Moore and Mel Lay from Allmade, Gold Star, thank you. Stalls, thank you. Cassie at Apparelist, oh my gosh, Teresa at ASI, thank you. The Printing United Alliance, Jeff at Branded Merch Network, and of course, the amazing Two Regular Guys, which is really 3 guys. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Terry. Your support to help us amplify this message is huge. We want to move the industry forward. And by the way, this is going to be something that you're going to remember, and it's going to be something that's going to make a difference in your business. So this is for business owners. This is for decorators, marketers, printers. This is for suppliers. This is for anyone who's really ready to make merch better and make it with purpose. So promo peeps, apparel geeks, print freaks, you're invited. Need you there June 10th. Registration is free. It's still open. Go to brandedmerchnetwork.com. Grab yourself a free spot. Block your calendar, charge up your AirPods, get ready to be challenged and inspired, and get ready to take action. So that's it. That's all I've got. I thank you guys. Talk to you soon. See you then.
All right, Terry. Well, register there. Yeah, I think we're having some issues with the Facebook side of things here, Terry. So I'm figuring that out in the background. So
Okay, very good. Well, while we do that, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices still. We would love to have the regulators participate in the show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. We're always looking for new guests like today. If you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or you can email us at info@tworegularguys.com with show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. If you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions for Spencer. And Aaron, one more thing I did want to mention. I have an upcoming Equipment Zone webinar I'm going to be hosting. It's kind of a different thing for us. It's called Boosting Business with the Epson F1070 DTG DTF printer. I'm going to be interviewing real decorators who own this kind of smaller DTG DTF printer, and that's going to be on June 16th at 1 o'clock, and you can register at equipmentzone.com. If you're watching us, I think Aaron has it up on the screen as well. So
yes, should be able to register there. I put the link in the comments there, so check that out. All right, Terry. Yeah, for whatever reason, we are not over on Facebook right now, so without Eric here, I'm doing a little double duty. But why don't we do this? Why don't we get Spencer in here and we can start talking to him? Plus, some of you guys that are getting a chance to check us out here on YouTube right now only, you might be going, well, wait a second, where's the dad joke? But don't worry, we did not forget about that. So let's first welcome Spencer on to the show, Terry, and then we can go from there. Sound like a plan?
all right, sounds good.
All right, cool. Spencer, welcome into the Two Regular Guys podcast. Thank you so much for being here today, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we're excited. Now, not only are we excited to talk to you about DTF, but you were kind enough to share a dad joke with us that is apparel specific. So we said, you know what, would you mind delivering said dad joke? And you agreed to it. So this is on you. But all right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Why did the screen printer go to the doctor's office?
Why did the screen printer go to the doctor's office?
He couldn't stop cracking up and needed to be cured.
But
There we go. Couldn't stop. That's good. See,
I'm headed to Chicago to teach a screen printing class. I may have to try that out on them.
Hey, you're more than welcome to it. You might lose the audience pretty quick, but
that's okay. That's okay. Oh, good one. All right. Well, Spencer, great way to start us off. We appreciate you very much there. So let's start here at the beginning, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you found your way in the industry. You and I have had a chance to talk about kind of the story, and I think it's a good one. I think people will recognize themselves in it. But yeah, let our listeners in on how you got into the space.
Yeah, sure. So it was a series of unfortunate events. So right after high school, I was planning on joining the military, and I ended up getting in like a really bad car accident. I messed up my back, so that kind of derailed that. The car accident kind of left me where it hurts to be sitting down all day. It hurts to be standing up all day.
Oh, wow.
And so, and then right around that same time, my grandfather passed away, and there was kind of like a small inheritance. I knew I didn't want to go to college, and my dad thought it'd be a great way to honor him by starting a family business. So it was me, my dad, and my brother. It was a company called Taggers, and it was kind of what I'm into right now for the most part. But we were doing like the very, very early on DTG, no white ink. We were doing embroidery, wide format printing, and we just ran that right into the ground. We kind of had the if you build it, they will come mentality, and that doesn't work when your rent is like $4,000 a month and no one knows who you are, and we didn't know anything, and so we ended up losing all that. All that we had left was like a single head embroidery machine that ended up in my dad's basement. We put a tarp over it because it was too painful to look at. Bounced around, did random jobs. I did construction, kind of worked a little bit in every trade, and then I had a friend in a just completely different industry, but he started a business, and he was making great money and making his own hours, and I guess he got tired of hearing me say, "Man, it must be nice." And he was like, "You know what? If it's so nice, why don't you do it?" And so he knew that he knew my past, and that I still had this embroidery machine. He said, "Look, I'll be your first customer. Like, go get that thing dusted off, and I have a trade show coming up, and I need 300 hats." And so that's kind of how it all started. Within 6 months, I had quit doing plumbing, and I was full-time just doing embroidery on a single head embroidery machine in my dad's basement. And it was just kind of the natural progression of adding on another machine. And then I got tired of saying, no, I don't do t-shirts. And so I got, like a little roll-in cutter, and I was doing vinyl for t-shirts. And just kind of like grew very slowly, just kept adding on. And eventually I got like a manual for screen printing, got another DTG printer. And um, as far as what you can do in this industry as kind of like a smaller shop, I've done all of it. I did the online stores. When I got the auto, I had an MHM. When I got the auto, we were doing contract printing. I was doing the team stores. I was doing print on demand. I was doing, live events. I did all of it and failed at pretty much each one of those things. So it kind of took me back to, I always had that base of just kind of like the regular, like retail, wholesale, embroidery, printing, stuff like that. And I just remembered I couldn't stand vinyl. I hated the weeding thing. And I remember like daydreaming about like, man, it would be so cool if there was transfers that you didn't have to weed and that was full color, and that, didn't have like white around the edges because it's just printed vinyl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember when DTF first started coming out and people were taking their DTG printers and printing transfers with those. And I think the very first time I printed a transfer with our DTG printer, I put our pre-treat machine up for sale. And I was like, I never want to pre-treat again. And so initially DTF was just supposed to be like an addition to our regular business, but it was really slow. We were still screen printing a lot. But when technology finally started catching up and they started coming out with these, wide format printers that are specifically built for DTF printing, I jumped on that, and we very quickly started phasing out screen printing, not really intentionally. It was just, at first it was, we raised our minimums. So if you wanted screen printing, our minimum was 12, we raised it up to 50. And so that knocked out a big chunk of our customers. Then we raised it again. Then we put on like color limits. So like if it's more than 3 colors and it's less than 100 pieces, we're going to do DTF. And then eventually we had phased out so much of it that I kind of did the math, and I was like, I don't even know if it's worth it to be making this loan payment every month, and this thing's like barely being used. And so I decided, I want to go all in on DTF. We're still doing embroidery. I had some local colleagues that said, when I bought the printer, they were like, hey, if you get this thing going, we'll support you, we'll buy our transfers from you instead of, the companies we've been buying them from. And, God bless them. There's such a huge learning curve, and there were so many mistakes, and they hung in there with us, and kind of had this idea of, like, we're actually getting really, really good at this. Why don't we start a website and kind of throw our hat in the ring and try to get out there? And so that's how Limitless Transfers was born. And I love it. I kind of found my passion in the industry is I love helping small business owners. It's really dangerous that right now on the website, I'm the only person that is answering the phones. I had someone else here answering the phones, and she's not with us anymore. And so it's really dangerous because someone will call for like a quick question, and then we end up talking about the industry and business for like an hour, and just taking up each other's time. But so
that's why we started a podcast, Spencer.
Yeah, I know you said it's like an hour. I'm like, yeah, I can push that. But no, it's I kind of found my passion in this, and I absolutely love this industry, and I've been really lucky. And I don't know if it's the industry in general, I've made so many friends across the country, and I really have not found it to be like as cutthroat as most other industries. And it's like I have one giant major competitor in my area as far as just like wholesale embroidery and printing goes. We did our first trade show, ISS Atlantic City. She closed her business to come with me to that trade show and work the booth with me.
Wow.
Like, that's my biggest competitor. And she's, you know, we just moved, and she's like, I need to come see the new house and see the family. And, you know,
That's cool.
it's great. So it's like the relationships I've made in this industry. And, yeah, it's just, I'm really fortunate to be where I'm at. And, yeah, I love this business.
Cool.
You know what you didn't know when you got into it in the first place was this is Hotel California, and the industry you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. We always come back to the industry. So.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know, you tripped up a few times, it sounds like. But I was at an event here in Phoenix, DTG or DTF Expo, and I saw that you won an award there. And from what I understand, it's your second DTF award. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So actually, one of those good friends that I mentioned, I have a customer in Iowa. Shout out to P&M Apparel. Ryan and Megan, they were just customers, and I can't even remember how we started talking. Like maybe they had a question about an order or something like that. But we ended up becoming friends. And when they were doing, when DTF Printing was doing this contest, they sent me the link and they said, you need to do this and you better win. And so I was like, all right. And so I looked into it and I entered the first, which it was actually, that was their second time doing that contest. And it was my first time entering. And I spent way too much time just obsessing about it. And so I ended up winning that one. And they do it twice a year. And so then the last one is the one in Phoenix that you were talking about. And same deal. If I didn't win the contest, I still would have won the award for who spent the most amount of time staring at this image. The way the contest works is they have a PNG file that they send out. They send you a shirt and they send you a PNG file and they say, print this to the best of your ability. And the file that they send you is just the absolute worst artwork that you could ever imagine for DTF printing. Like they throw so many little things in there that if you're not paying attention, you miss it. And it's just the worst possible thing that you could ever try to print. So, you know, I have a few tricks that I picked up over time, and I was really fortunate to win it a second time, and I'm really grateful. And there was a lot of really good competition there. And I actually, they lay all the shirts out from all the people that entered before they announced the winner. And I was looking, and there were a couple that I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing it, but yeah. You know, if you guys ever have me on again, the chant is back to back.
Okay, back to. Okay, got it. We'll go get better at that. But Spencer, when you and I were talking before too, you kind of, you know, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so if this isn't exactly what, but you kind of leaned on some of that experience you had with the screen printing to kind of help with this DTF award, right? Is that a correct statement?
Yeah. So, I mean, having the background in screen printing, so there's certain things, it's kind of the same deal. You know, you can't just print a drop shadow or a glow effect in screen printing. You have to halftone it. Yeah. So it's the same principle with DTF. You know, it's solid ink. So if you want to kind of achieve these effects, which actually, I'm not sure if it's going to show up really well, but so this was the from the Phoenix one, the design that they sent. And so they had a kind of a glow effect around the UFO, and then they have it fading off into just the sky, black, the shirt coming through.
Yeah.
And so I was able to lean a little bit on the screen printing side, but I would say I was a good screen printer, but I wasn't great. Like I never did like the full on like separations for like I never did CMYK. I never did the my mind's blanking. I've been out of it for
Simulated process.
sim process. So I never got around to that.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
but you know, being around it and seeing it, because I loved it. I would doom scroll at night and get like lost in a bubble, and I'd be watching videos on how people were doing it, and it was
Yeah.
usually Photoshop. But I'm a Corel guy, so it didn't always translate, and I eventually gave up. And then, of course, while I was trying to figure that out, DTF became a thing, and I was like, well, if they want full color, I'm just going to DTF it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that that's not an uncommon statement for a screen printer to make, right? Especially when you're in that transition mode there. Huh. Interesting.
Well,
right?
my screen printing class this weekend in Chicago, we do simulated process, but I tell the students, listen, you may never ever do this, and I think it's going to become a craft that some decorators do, but I think DTF's going to take over that space for that full color photographic reproduction in screen printing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to like depend on the size of the run.
Sure.
You know? So if it's for a super popular rock band and they need 10,000, like it totally makes more sense to get the artwork just right and screen print it as opposed to trying to like do DTF, because just the time it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That picture, that shirt you were holding up looked just like an album cover for Boston in the 1970s. So speaking of rock bands.
Love it. Well, and I think that's exactly right, Spencer. Like people need to understand that finding the tool that's right for that project, right? So it's not always going to be DTF. It's not always going to be screen printing. It's going to be what's the project and what's the right tool for this? What's the desired outcome? So I think understanding that is really crucial. But as we I want to dive more in and just, you're so willing to help and share, you talked about how you love helping businesses here. Give us the kind of the big picture overview of what you're seeing from DTF. Why is there such huge growth, and kind of maybe where do you think it's heading?
So DTF fills a void that there was with screen printing. There's a fair amount of setup involved. So you have the minimums.
Yep.
The more colors it is, the more setup there is. It's complicated. You have to charge for your time. Usually, there's a lot of customers, small businesses, that they have a logo that has 4 or 5 colors in it, and they want to get it screen printed, but they have 2 employees, so they don't need 50 shirts. DTF makes that job very simple and very easy and very quick. And I feel like the technology is there. Not everyone has fully figured it all out, but you can get it to where it feels very, very similar to screen printing. A lot of people can't tell the difference. When we stopped screen printing and we were switching people over, I would tell them, like, when they would come back for reorder, like, hey, this is going to be different. And I would always ask them, and they would say they couldn't even really feel the difference, which I have a few tricks that I can share for that. But the other thing is, on the other end, you would have, the vinyl side, where you have the kind of like, I don't know, I heard someone say cry cut. I've always called it cricket. But the little cricket cutters and, the fun little,
we've always called it cricket too. So I don't know.
I don't know if this is right, but I have a demographic I call Etsy moms. And they go on Etsy and they find like sublimation PNG files and, cute things for, baseball mom and stuff like that. And it's kind of the same thing where, if they were going to do it on the Cricut, they need to, they have to weed it out. It's going to be really time consuming, and it also limits them to a couple colors if they're going to layer vinyl. So same thing, DTF just makes that job's super simple, super easy. Sublimation, you're kind of trapped on white or very light colored shirts. So DTF opens up, you want the full color printing. You can now put that on anything. It doesn't have to be polyester, doesn't have to be white. It can be pretty much any fabric out there.
Yeah.
Even really weird stuff that we've been like testing with, which, what was it? Umbrellas. I just had a customer ask me, hey, what settings do you use for an umbrella? I'm like, I've never done an umbrella. And so I was like, try this and let me know how it goes. And I'm still waiting to hear back. But usually when I don't hear back, that's good news.
Yeah.
But no, like if someone wants their logo on a backpack, like what other process is there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was in a shop once. It was actually pre-COVID, but speaking of the Etsy moms, that's all they sold to, and they were doing $5 million a year in sales to Etsy moms.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, and I think a big thing where the industry is heading, big thing is if you're brand new. And I had a few people, which actually ISS, this is actually kind of a really weird full circle kind of thing for me. I said that I had started this business with my dad, like fresh out of high school. And when we were talking about different industries that we wanted to get into, like I've always had kind of a creative side to me. And that's why he was like, well, what if we did like t-shirts? And it sent us down this rabbit hole. And so we actually went to ISS Atlantic City. That was our first trade show, and that's where we decided, all right, we're going to do this. And we went and talked to all the people selling equipment and did that. And so, was it in March or April, ISS Atlantic City this year. So that was my very first trade show. And so it's like now I'm on the vendor side of things. And I saw a father and son come up, and they were asking me questions because they were thinking about starting a business and getting into the industry. And I'm like, man, this is so weird. Like 15 years ago, that was me. I was that kid that was fresh out of high school and wanted to do it. And same thing, like I said, I can talk for hours about it. And they were on the verge of spending a lot of money that they did not need to spend yet. And so I left the crowd of people kind of hanging that were waiting for a sample to like just really talk to these guys and make sure that they weren't about to make a huge mistake and throw away a ton of money. But yeah, so anyway, what I was saying is what I see happening is DTF is a lot more straightforward. You can get into this industry with a heat press. Like that's all you need. It's minimal investment. You can do it out of a spare bedroom. So you're going to see a lot more people when they want to get into this industry. They look at screen printing and all that's involved, and it's like it takes up a lot of space. Like you need a dark room. You have to learn how to coat screens. You have to learn how to expose them. You need to learn registration. You have like all the equipment, and there are resources out there to learn about it. Yeah. But it's a very daunting task when you can just order transfers. And they show up, and it's as simple as cut it out, lay it on the shirt, heat press it for 10 seconds and peel it off. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see DTF picking up more and more. This is just me guessing. It's like where the direction you're going to see that going up more and more. And then screen printing is actually going to make a little bit of a bounce back because you're going to have not a lot of people. And I do still have people that come in and demand like, no, it needs to be screen printing. There's still going to be a business for those people. And then the vast majority of screen printing, I think, is going to be like contract printers where, they're set up and they have screen printing down. And so you'll see a lot of these smaller shops, instead of investing in getting an auto, they can outsource it to a company like that that's more set up for it. So I just think screen printing isn't going anywhere. It's just going to look a little different.
Cool. Love it. Wow. Okay. Well, we've got plenty of other things we want to chat with you about here, Spencer, but we need to take a quick breather, take a deep breath here. And we want to share with our listeners about Promo Hunt. So in the past, we've run a promotional spot for them, but they're working on updating that with everything changing, Alpha Broder, SNS, all that stuff. There's lots of moving parts over there. But Terry, I still just think back to when we interviewed Tony on the show. I don't know what that was, about 3 months ago, when he talked about Promo Hunt. You want to share that story?
Well, yeah, exactly. And for anybody who doesn't know, Promo Hunt is a website where if you're looking to buy from Sanmar, looking to buy from SNS, or you're looking just to find a particular brand and style of garment, you can go there and it will tell you who has it, what their prices are, and it's free. And as Tony shared with us, his mother said, "Tony, why is it free?" But it is a great resource, and let me remind everybody, it's free. You can go on there, and I believe, Aaron, enter the vendors that you primarily deal with. And
you sign in with your vendor accounts, so that way, when you said, it compares pricing, it compares your pricing. So different people have different levels, and obviously it works for apparel, as that's what we're talking about here. But you can enter in your stuff for other things too. Promotional products really is where this started from. But I think there's huge opportunity, saves a ton of time, and they're working on some pretty cool stuff to be able to do quotes and some other things like that. So just get signed up now while it's free. And Tony's a great guy, and I think you'll find that you'll be well taken care of. So
exactly. So go to promohunt.com / apparel.
There you go. Love it. All right. Well, let's get back to Spencer here, Terry. Man, this has been great so far. What else do we want to ask Spencer?
Well, Spencer, you've kind of touched on this already, but are there some downsides you see to DTF printing and the process, or as you would commented about, screen printers are the biggest snobs, and I'm a screen printer, so I'm a
you could say that
as well. So what about any downsides to the end product that you see? I know you've kind of touched on this already.
So not to toot my own horn, but our transfers have been holding up as well as screen printing. Like, I've done side by side, where we screen printed and then we did DTF, and they were both holding up, like looking brand new after 50 washes. So, but that is one of the big things that I've heard, is that they don't hold up well, or that they're peeling, or usually that's the main thing, is they say, oh, it's peeling off the shirt. Usually that's poor quality transfers, or you didn't apply it correctly. But the number one main thing that that just isn't 100% there yet is the hand. If you have like a really big solid design, it's going to feel kind of plasticky, and there are a couple tricks to get around that. And to help with that, a lot of it is really going to be on the artwork side. But if it has to print like this, you can use a textured sheet. A lot of people will cut a tote bag in half and use that canvas material, and they do another press on it, and it kind of takes that texture from that material, and it feels a lot less plastic. It feels a lot more like a screen print.
Yeah.
Those are the main things. Also, it is still DMYK process, so there's a lot of colors outside of the gamut. We recently moved on to 9-color printing, so it's an extended gamut. So we're printing CMYK RGBO, but it's still like, you still can't hit neon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's still some limitations there. By far the biggest thing is the hand. But if you're using like the right transfers and you're applying them correctly, especially on the artwork side, I mean, I think they come out great.
Yeah. Well, and let me ask you about that. How do you think those folks, when you talk about transfers peeling it, and myself, the washability, has been phenomenal, because in screen printing, 50 washings is considered a permanent print. And we stopped wash testing DTF at 60, and it was still perfect. But how do you think those people who are out there selling those transfers that are peeling or are having issues, How do you think that's impacting the DTF industry?
It hurted a lot in the beginning. DTF had like a really terrible reputation because when it started, people were just kind of taking Epson printers and converting them. And it's like, it wasn't really all the way there yet. But to this day, there's a lot of like corners being cut using, cheap inks, film, powder. That's really the main thing is people that don't really know what they're doing. Like your transfers, they have to be cured just right. So if you don't really have that down, that's when you're going to run into a lot of issues. Like if it's over cured when it's going through the oven, I've seen it to where it doesn't release from the film, or it's not holding up as long. If it's under cured, same deal. It's not really going to fully adhere. So you really have to like really fine tune it and just have it just right. But it's a lot easier than like screen printing. I remember going crazy with like a donut probe trying to make sure the plastisol was perfect. And then it was like I would do a stretch test and I'll be like, no, stretch test doesn't work. And but with this, there's a very clear, when it comes out, there's a texture to the back of the transfer. And as long as that texture is there, you're good.
Yeah.
When I do seminars on DTF, I have one that says it will have an orange peel appearance. And then my next slide is a giant, it will not be orange. Because
the texture of an orange peel.
People call me up and say, I keep curing it, but it won't turn orange. Okay, stop.
Funny enough, with our new printer, I'm not sure if it's the red or the orange ink, but it actually like bleeds through a whole bunch, so you can actually see it actually does turn orange on the back of the transfers.
I stand corrected, but
there you go. We'll send you some pictures of those and say,
I have something I always tell my screen printing classes, and it is there are lots and lots and lots of screen printers. There aren't very many good screen printers. I think it's true in all areas of decoration. If our show producer Eric was here today, he'd say there are lots and lots and lots of embroiderers. There aren't very many good embroiderers. So, just like you're saying, learn your craft.
Yeah.
Eric, actually, I didn't realize until today that he was the producer for this show, but he probably doesn't remember me, but I actually had a talk with him probably a decade ago when I was still like, so I've been in business now for myself for 11 years. And I remember going to a trade show and running into him, and I talked to him on Facebook and stuff. But yeah, he's a great guy. It's people like him that kind of inspire me, because like he took a lot of time to help some kid that didn't really know what he was doing and explained it to me. And that's what I'm trying to pass along. So Eric, if you see this, man, you made a lasting impact on me and how I run my business and handle myself. So I appreciate you, man.
Eric's in the middle of a move to Pennsylvania. We're hoping he's putting the last nail in the wall and hanging the last picture.
Yeah.
Because
we need him back. I'm struggling.
It's kind of like when you said you get on the phone and spend an hour talking to somebody because you're passionate about the business. That's Eric. He's passionate about it. And that's, he loves to share.
Yep. And to your point, Terry, about, not a lot of good screen printers, embroiderers, DTF. I think, as Spencer mentioned, right, it kind of got a bad name because it was so exciting. Everybody was getting into it, and everybody was just throwing stuff against the wall. And, this is the greatest ever. But it takes people like Spencer to focus on it, obsess over it. Like when you and I, Spencer, were talking about your award-winning project, I kind of asked, okay, well, what would you charge somebody to do that? And you're like, I wouldn't do it. you can't. But, in a sense you are, though, right? Because you're able to now put out a product that you can believe in, you can stand behind, that it's great. And it took you that effort that you put into it to get there. So, I don't think there's necessarily downsides. I think there's people that need to put a little more effort into it, maybe, is what I'm seeing. Yeah. So, all right. Well, Spencer, we've been, as we mentioned, this is episode 600. So for 13 years now, thank you. For 13 years now that we've kind of, one of the other things we love doing is we have a couple of annual shows that we always look forward to. And one of them is kind of what we'd like to see in the future, right? Like, what do we try to do our best to crystal ball and look into the future. So we're going to get information from our guests before we start looking like fools at the end of the year, and and ask you, what are you seeing? Right? What do you think is going to happen in the DTF space and in the coming years and beyond? How do you see kind of things shaking out?
So I would say the thing I want to see more than anything is automated cutting. So right now with us, like our biggest thing is I would absolutely love to be able to offer like pre-cut transfers. But there's really no great way for us to work that into production. And I know it's something that is being worked on. There's already like flatbed cutters out there that they're using for DTF. And I think it's really cool. I just don't think it's there quite yet.
Yeah.
I think speed wise, we could pretty much do the same thing with a pair of scissors with where it's at right now. But if they could find a way to really truly automate it, that's what I would love to see happen. The other thing I think would be you're going to see a lot of companies that are starting to jump on the expanded gamut printing. Now that I'm getting to see firsthand the difference, like it's a pretty massive difference. And the other thing I think that's coming is probably fluorescents, which are already out there. I know there's a few companies that are testing with incorporating fluorescence into the entire, like up until very recently, fluorescent inks was like a spot color. So like the artwork itself, kind of you had to tell it like this is fluorescent yellow. But they're trying to work that into all colors to get us closer to being able to print, closer to like an actual RGB color gamut instead of limiting it down to CMYK. I have no idea how long that one will take, but the thing I'm most excited about for sure is going to be the automated cutting. If we get that down, I want to see that.
And like you said, I know people are looking at that, working on that. I know at American Print and Supply, that's definitely something that is in the back of our minds as we are developing things. So we're going to get you on Gangify. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up with this, Spencer.
Yeah.
What one golden nugget of advice you would give to other DTF decorators or people thinking about taking the plunge into DTF printing?
Understand the limitations on artwork. Whether you're outsourcing the transfers and you're buying them from someone like me, or if you bought a printer and you're doing it yourself, kind of like with anything, if someone comes into your shop and they want embroidery and they want text that's, this big and it has a ton of detail, like you have to educate the customer and say, hey, this will probably work better if we do it this way. DTF is great, but it still does have some of those limitations. And especially when we're battling the hand, there's little tricks, like you can put pinholes in the artwork. Like you can do like the textured pressing and little tricks that way, but you can avoid most of that by catering your artwork to the process. Yeah. So that would be my biggest thing is, learn the limitations of DTF with where it's at today. Learn how to utilize like negative space, because the more you break that thing up, the better it's going to feel.
Yeah.
And ultimately, a printer can only print as good as the artwork.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you shared about the artwork. We've got a couple of Secret Sauce episodes that Dan Clement did for us, talking about, DTF artwork and half toning. And so he walks through the entire process and shows people that. And I think a lot of times, a lot of decorators forget how important that is. And then I know Spencer, you're not trying to promote yourself, but the other thing I would add to what you just shared there is to go and work with somebody like like both Terry and I are now associated with people that sell equipment. And I still would tell everybody, go buy transfers from Spencer first and build that market. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of that, how can people go and talk to you, get to know you, go buy transfers, that type of thing?
So the best way to reach me is going to just be email. It's just info@limitlesstransfers.com. You can also call us 1-800-797-0602. My direct extension is 901. But like I said, I'm the only one answering the phones right now, which is a little tricky because I'm going on vacation next week. But as I bring that up, I am probably going to be looking for someone that can help customer servicey side. So if you know anyone, if anyone out there is listening and they know about DTF, want like a fun remote job and answer the same questions over and over again, shoot me an email and I'll answer in the evenings. But you can also find me on Facebook, and I mean, just shoot me a message. Like I said, I want to help people. So even if it's has nothing to do with buying transfers from me, you can always shoot me a message. I'm happy to help.
All right, cool. Trying to get this stuff in the background here. So, because I typoed your email address in the comments right there. So Rob or somebody from American Print and Supply jumped in here, Spencer, and said, our employee of the month may be interested in your position. So are you familiar with Luna?
I'm not.
Okay. Luna is the shop dog, and she has won employee of the month for the last 53 months, I believe it is.
Always never missed a day of work, right?
That's right.
Send her my way.
All right, send her your way. But here you go, guys. This is Spencer's email, so shoot him an email over there. And yeah, he's not lying when he says he wants to help people out. He's been such a joy to get to know, and just appreciate you sharing so much, Spencer.
I appreciate you guys. Really, thanks for having me.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Spencer. We'll talk to you again soon. Terry, what a great conversation there, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Love it. And he hit on all the right things, right? I think one of the things for DTF that I'm seeing, kind of, I wouldn't say new entry, but I'd spent so much time looking in from afar. And now that I'm in it a little bit more in the day-to-day world, all those things Spencer mentioned, right? Artwork, understanding the process, realizing that there's a right tool for the job, and then just educating. So many people jumped out there and just threw stuff out there, and everybody wants to find the cheaper thing, but the cheaper thing isn't always the more profitable thing. The cheaper thing is not always the most useful thing, especially time consuming, right? If your recipe, so to speak, your filmmaking powder recipe works and provides a consistent product, then I think that's worth paying a little bit more because you get your time back. So.
Yeah, and I think that too, as more and more people like Spencer really learn the craft, that it's going to turn around the perception of DTF printing as well. Because anybody who's ever ordered a shirt from Amazon over the last 3 or 4 years probably got a DTF shirt, and some are better than others.
100% agree. All right. I'm still producing stuff in the background here too, Terry. So I apologize for being all over the place. And what's happening in your world coming up here, Terry?
Well, as we were talking about before the show, my next complete screen printing business course, I'm headed to the airport in less than an hour. I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply this weekend. I think there are 1 or 2 seats still available. So if you'd still like to sign up, go to atlasScreenSupply.com and come and see me in Chicago. As we've talked about on the top of the show on Tuesday, the 2 regular guys are hosting Why It Matters Sustainable Merch Summit. And we want to see you there. And I'm hosting, as I said at the top of the show, an Epson F1070 webinar for Equipment Zone, boosting business for the Epson F1070. And I'm going to be interviewing decorators. That's on June 16th at 1 o'clock. Register at equipmentzone.com and watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, definitely. But now, before I want to go back to that webinar that you're doing on the F1070, I also heard that maybe there will be a Kim Johnson sighting. Is this correct?
Kim Johnson is going to be a big part of that. As you guys may, well, Kim has her own business,
Yep.
but she also contracts to teach the F1070 screen printing classes for Equipment Zone. And so it's actually some of the folks that we're going to be interviewing are her former students. So
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So that's the real draw, Terry. Nothing personal against you, but
I'm just facilitating.
right, which you do a very good job of. All right, sir. For me, yeah, coming up pretty quick here. It will be happening at the Graphics Pro Expo. I think I have June 13th, but I think it's actually June 21st. 21st. So I've got the date wrong on the notes here, but June 21st at the Graphics Pro Expo in Indianapolis, I've got a session called Marketing Better in 2025. And I just want to share as many practical tips as I can for finding clarity in your message and being able to stand out in a noisy world by connecting with your ideal customers. And that'll be the trick, right? Your ideal customer is not all things to everyone. So if you want to check that out, you can go to graphics-pro-expo, and there is a coupon code that you can use, APAS25IN, and that will get you, because the education at Graphics Pro is free, but it does cost to get into the expo. So, but I think it's only like $5. So, especially when you use that code APAS25IN. So, hope to see people there. And then Terry, Eric is still in transition. That's why he's not here right now. We're excited for him to get there. Like you said, hopefully hanging that last picture on the wall. And I know it's been a process for him. So he's always said, so it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm like, Eric, we'll dock your pay. It's okay. That's our joke because we don't pay him, right? Anyway,
right. You did mention that before this show started today, though, that maybe we need to double his no pay after you've been producing the last couple of weeks.
You know what? He's been so good. Let's triple it, Terry. But anyhow, so just make sure you guys are reaching out to Eric and sending him well wishes. Check out his past episodes over there at ericcampbell.com. And Take Up will be coming back soon. So don't go anywhere, just on a little short hiatus, and check that out. So Terry, we've got a great secret sauce here. I'm excited to learn. So I'm ready to write some notes. Are you ready to deliver here?
I'm ready. Let's do a secret sauce. All right, my secret sauce today is graphic placement. So graphic placement is really a function of personal preference. So, and this personal preference is going to vary from shop to shop. One shop owner likes a graphic at a particular placement. The next one might prefer that same graphic a half-inch lower. But I guess what I'm saying here is these are my personal preferences, and this is what I teach when I run large production floors. That for my employees, this is how you determine where to place the graphic. So for large full chest designs like a 10 by 12 or a 12 by 12, that's going to look best about 2 inches from the base of the collar. Shorter, wider graphics, more horizontal graphics, I like to print those about 3 inches from the collar. Sweatshirts, now you don't want to print that high on a sweatshirt because that sweatshirt's never going to be tucked in or anything like that. So I'm going to go about 1 inch lower on my graphic, or maybe center it between the muff pocket on a hoodie and the collar. So left chest designs, and you'll see this when you go out and buy a shirt at a college bookstore or something like that. These left chest prints are up or they're down. They're it's all over the place. So left chest design should be centered between the vertical center line of the shirt and the seam attaching the sleeve to the shirt body. Large left chest designs will be printed on that imaginary line from the bottom of the sleeve at the point where it attaches to the shirt. Smaller left chest designs are going to be printed about 1 inch above that imaginary line. This left chest placement applies to placket shirts, such as polos, that sort of thing as well. Some printers are tipped to line up the print with the placket, but visually, placement should be a function of the imaginary line and not where the placket is. Pocket prints physically on a pocket are generally printed in the center of the pocket. For prints above the pocket, the print should be approximately 3/4 inch above that top of the pocket line, centered with the physical pocket. Now, not all pockets are perfectly square with the shirt, but the image will look best when it's squared to the pocket and not tried to be squared with the physical shirt. It'll look like it's out of place, out of whack. Sleeve graphics on short sleeves are almost always printed on the left sleeve when given the choice. These prints should be printed 1 inch above the hem at the bottom of the sleeve. And for long sleeves, the graphics are commonly centered on the sleeve between the cuff and the shoulder. Back print should be printed as if you're looking through the shirt at the front print. In other words, the print on the back of the shirt is going to be further from the collar than the print on the front of the shirt. Large full back designs will be printed approximately 4 inches from the collar base. Short, wide designs, horizontal designs, should be printed about 5 inches from the collar. Shoulder blade prints, most often a wide graphic of maybe single line of type, will be printed 2 inches from the collar base. Take special note of back print location. Screen printers will commonly print the same distance from the collar on the front and the back. The result is a finished product that appears out of balance. So use the same distance with, will make the back print too high on the shirt. So make sure that you allow for some extra space from the collar on the back print. Youth prints, full chest should be printed 1 inch from the collar base. Short, wide prints or horizontal prints should be printed 2 inches from the collar base. Here's the rule of thumb. The graphic should have less distance from the collar to the graphic than from the graphic to the bottom of the shirt. So sometimes you have to make some adjustments for that. So these are my guidelines that I use in my production shops. So whatever your preference, be consistent from garment to garment. So that's my secret sauce for today.
That was great, Terry. Really good stuff. I think that's a secret sauce that people need to pin and use for employee training, right? You got that new heat press operator. You've got that new screen print operator. Here you go. Watch this for, the 2-3 minutes, and then let's discuss it and figure out how that works for our shop. So I love that.
Exactly right. Perfect.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And Todd caught you out of context. So he said, just came in time to hear Terry say muff pocket and follow up of I'm going to get in trouble with IT if I Google that. So, all right, Terry, you got to get on a plane, dude. So let's get out of here. Thank you very much to Spencer. Thank you very much to Teresa. Thank you guys, the listeners who joined us for this 600th episode. Let's do this, Terry. 600 to go. What do you say?
Let's do it. At the end of each year in the past, you would say, so you want to do another year? And you don't even ask anymore. So we just say it's open-ended.
I got worried that you were going to say no pretty soon. So I just stopped asking and hoping that you wouldn't say no.
All right. Well, hey, we want to tell Eric Campbell, hey, we appreciate you, buddy. We can't wait to get you back here, hopefully another week or so. Yeah, absolutely. And again, hope his travels are going well. He's going to be an East Coast guy now, Terry. So I'm going to have to, get him rolling on the East Coast, or maybe Central. I don't know. He's kind of further East Coast than me, but he's closer, I think. So he's not a sports guy, but he's going to realize Monday Night Football goes really late on the East Coast.
That's true. And he's going to go, yeah, I don't care because I don't watch. But all right. Well, next week, Terry, we've got Jared with the Heat Press Nation going to be joining us to help dispel the myth. At least the myth that we're hearing quite a bit is sublimation dead. And just not true. But I think the DTF conversation's kind of been allowed stuff, but lots of sublimation still happening. So we want to talk to Jared over at Heat Press Nation and learn from them what's going on in the sublimation world. So be sure to tune into that next week. Hopefully we'll get the Facebook issues fixed, but you can always catch the podcast version over at tworegularguys.com.
Awesome. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.